Part 2, we're going to be moving on here. We are going to be looking at Isaiah 53. Many Christians love quoting Isaiah 53 about the suffering servant and it being proof of how Jesus is the Messiah, as John 12:37 and 38 certainly try to draw to those conclusions. Well, it's kind of too bad that Isaiah 41:8, 44:1, 44:21, 45:4, and 49:3 all mention Israel and Jacob, which means the people of Israel and not a person, is/are the suffering servant. Furthermore, 52 describes the subjugation of Israel to the Gentiles. You know, the Assyrians. We talked about them in the last video. In 52:10, we see that God will lay bare his holy arm in the sight of all the nations. And 53:1 says, "Who has believed our message, and to whom has the arm of the Lord been revealed?" So clearly, it's a continuation of 52. In 53:9, we find he was assigned a grave with the wicked and with the rich in his death. When was Jesus buried with the rich? He wasn't. So how is 53:1 about Jesus, but 53:9 not, when they clearly are the same story? In fact, 53:10 speaks about offspring and the prolonging of his days. So who were Jesus's kids? And when did crucifixion ever, equate living a long life? Clearly, Isaiah 53 isn't about Jesus, but about the nation of Israel and her people, just like it says. So let's go ahead and look at the next one, which is Zechariah 9:9, and this will be the last one for the day. In Zechariah 9:9, we find an authentic messianic prophecy. God is speaking through his mouthpiece, Zechariah, telling the Jews to rebuild his temple, and God will then protect them forever by promising a new king would arrive, one who would save the Jews from their enemies and bring about world peace. Zechariah 9:9 speaks about the new king arriving on a colt. The colt of a donkey, I believe, is what it is. And while the idea of arriving on something like the colt, a baby of a donkey, could be like a metaphor for peace, as opposed to a king who would come riding on a war horse, the four Gospels of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John took this quite literally. Matthew 21:1-7, Mark 11:3-10, Luke 19:28-38, and John 12:12-15. Interesting enough, though, only Matthew mentions Jesus asking for both a donkey and a colt, whereas Mark and Luke say only that he wanted the colt. John, however, says that it was Jesus who found the colt, as opposed to him sending his disciples out to do it for him. So there's still no mention of a donkey, though. See, the problem here is that we know that this prophecy would have been well known. This was a savior that the Jewish people were looking for. So any asshole could have come riding down on a donkey or a colt or a horse, or it don't matter. Whatever the prophecy said it was, any asshole could have jumped on top of the back of that animal and came riding into town and going, "I am the king now because I have come riding in on a colt," or "I have come riding in on whatever." So, yeah, you really cannot use this as a fulfilled prophecy in any sense. It's just not fair to count it as such, because Jesus came from the wrong line, and he never brought world peace to the lands, nor was he ever a Jewish king. Now, of course, Christians are going to claim this prophecy isn't fulfilled, as he will return and reign as king, but we're going to get to that in another video. Maybe even next time. Maybe. So that is it for tonight, guys.